Welcome to the Smooth Operative Podcast. This is your host, Jubilant Rich, and today I'll be going through the next load of articles posted on the Warhammer community for the upcoming kill team Octarius. Now, first of all, let's have a look at what they have shown us on the first article on the 20th of July, and it says, breaking, devastating weapon of war spotted in new Deathcore of Krieg kill team footage. And it's a shovel. Yes, that was well worth the click. Thank you for that, Games Workshop. But memes aside, let's talk about how these smart activation rules make your kill team clashes more tactical and reactive. Kill Team has always been a game of alternating activations, but they were previously tied to the conventional structure of Warhammer 40,000. Even though players took turns to activate one model at a time, movement still had to happen during the movement phase, shooting in the shooting phase, and so on. And here we have a nice little list of actions. We got normal move for one action point, where you can move the active operative up to its movement characteristic. You got charge for one action point, move the active operative to within engagement range of an enemy. So far we don't actually know how that works, whether it's going to be a random distance like in most games, or maybe even double their move, but chances are it will probably be some sort of randomly determined amount that you can actually move, but we shall see. You can also shoot for one action point, pretty standard. Fight, again, in close combat, pretty standard, 1 AP. Fallback is 2 AP, and that's interesting because, of course, it's putting the whole not being able to fall back and shoot into the number of actions you take rather than this, limitation, which may or may not confuse some people. Also, it means that operatives such as Space Marines and Harlequins can possibly fall back and shoot or what have you. So that's quite interesting. Then, of course, you got the unique actions, which are various. Take an action listed on an operative's data card. We already know that there is a whole bunch of actions which, different operatives can take listed on their data cards, which we've seen so far. Most actions cost 1 AP, including moving, charging, shooting, and fighting in hand-to-hand combat, while falling back costs 2. It takes a lot of concentration to disengage when the bullets and power swords start flying after all. But here's the clever bit. Let's see how clever this is. Most baseline humans and Xenos have 2 AP, allowing them to move and shoot in a single activation, for instance, or charge and fight, though you can't typically repeat an action. However, Astartes and Chaos Space Marines, as imposing transhuman paragons of war in the 41st millennium, get a princely 3 AP per activation, as I mentioned before whenever I was talking about the whole falling back thing, which is a neat way to demonstrate their effortless superiority. Custodes, meanwhile, get 4, enough said, and that is literally enough said. I mean, I've been checking out some of the to walk around Custodes, and I'd be very, very surprised if it doesn't start off with like a Custodes meta to begin with, because already they're getting like the most useful, ability in the game, which is basically to act double the amount of, they've got double the amount of activation points, that most of the units have, which obviously they can only, so far as far as we know, they can only perform each action once a turn, but I guess we'll see how it goes for them. Yeah, but so far these actions and activations are pretty much on point with how Necromunda works, so I'm already on board with that. And the fact that there is no more phases again, I like, because that whole back and forth with the phases kind of, in a way, it sort of helped your opponent more than you in certain ways. I don't really want to elaborate on that. I'm way too sleep deprived to give an example, and I'm just, but I'm pretty sure that some people will know exactly what I mean when I say that. But yeah, how it works now, I think, will be a lot more interesting, a lot more intuitive, and should hopefully provide for a lot more tactical acumen. New kill team replaces points with a fast, finely balanced list building system. Will it be perfectly balanced as all things should be? I sincerely doubt that, but let's read on and find out. Points are officially a thing of the past in Kill Team. Balance, on the other hand, most certainly is not. Because while you're no longer using raw numbers to buy operatives in your list, the designers have effectively baked your operatives' points values into the way you pick your rosters. Balanced. It's an elegant system that makes list building quicker and easier while still giving you loads of ways to customize your kill teams. It's a bit of a departure from Warhammer roster building you might be familiar with, so like a veteran Kriegsman with a lifetime supply of trench shovels, let's dig in a little deeper. The two teams that you get in Kill Team Octarius' box are complete game-ready forces, and you can build both with a range of specialists. In fact, you can field up to 9 distinct specialists and a leader on either team, giving you access to a whole array of very cool loadouts and special actions. Importantly, the two sides are designed to be evenly matched no matter which options you pick. Balanced. So following on from that, we have the list of operatives for the Orc Commandos that you'll be getting in Kill Team Octarius. You've got the Commando Knob, which is, you can pick a operative selected from the following list. One equipped with a Slugger and Big Chopper, or one equipped with a Slugger and Power Claw, which I assume are going to be obviously the options for the model in the kit. And then you can select up to 9 Commando operatives from the following list. Commando Boy, Commando Grot, Commando Slasher Boy, Commando Breacher Boy, Commando Sniper Boy, Commando Dacker Boy, Commando Comms Boy, Commando Burner Boy, Commando Rocket Boy, and the Bomb Squig. And the Commando Boy operatives can be selected up to 9 times, and each other option above can be selected once. So basically, if you want, you can have a kill team of Orc Commandos made up entirely of all the specialist options, or if you really wanted, you could just take a Commando Knob and 9 regular Commando Boys. I was talking with my mate about actually getting, well, we're both going to be getting Kill Team Octarius. And if basically I took his commandos off his hands, gave him my Krieg, we'd at least have a full roster of models. And rosters are something I am going to be going on to next. And while there are many options for these two teams from the get-go, you can look forward to a similar depth of options when building kill teams with other factions for one-off battles and campaign play. First, you create a roster up to 20 operatives, as I mentioned, noting down any specialism and specific choice of war gear they have. You pick a kill team from the pool of operatives on your roster for every mission you play. In essence, you're assembling a hand-picked squad of specialists from those available to you to best achieve the mission's parameters. And then following on from that, we actually have an example of a roster here, which is filled up with the veteran Guardsman. So first of all, you get your player name on there. You get your faction keyword, your selectable keyword, which of course implies sub-factions. Whether or not they will be a thing to start, we do not know just yet. Your list of operatives specified by their type, so of course your full bunch of guys and what, equipment they might have and what have you. And then of course notes for your operatives are, right next to that as well. So yeah. Yeah, there isn't really much to say about this. You can pretty much see what it all says, and I'm sure most of you will have already heard about these and looked at this stuff anyway. Depending on your faction, kill teams need to be divided into 1 or 2 specialized groups called fire teams. Some factions can deploy 2 fire teams in a single mission, while others hit the drop zone with 1. An Astra Militarum kill team, for example, can bring 2 fire teams, giving them a numerical advantage over an Adeptus Astartes kill team, who can only field 1, meaning they'll have more tools for every job in more combinations. What then follows, we have the Guardsman fire team here. An Imperial Guard kill team consists of 2 fire teams selected from the following list. Guardsman, Tempesta Siam. The archetype security, I don't know what the archetypes are actually meant to be. I think they were experimenting with archetypes in like a White Dwarf article for Kill Team 1, but that was really just a bunch of like tactics, if I recall correctly, which you can select for a different archetype of kill. It was a bit weird, kind of unnecessary, and it was for open play anyway, so you know how that goes. So yeah, archetype security, Guardsman fire team. A Guardsman fire team includes 7 Guardsman operatives selected from the following list. Guardsman Trooper, Guardsman Comms, Guardsman Gunner, equipped with Bayonet Flamer, Guardsman Gunner equipped with Bayonet Grenade Launcher, Guardsman Gunner equipped with Bayonet Melt Gun, Guardsman Gunner equipped with Bayonet Plasma Gun, Guardsman Gunner equipped with Bayonet Sniper Rifle, my boy, and other than Guardsman Trooper operatives, each Guardsman fire team can only include up to 3 of the operatives above. Other than Guardsman Trooper operatives, your kill team can only include each operative above once. If your kill team does not include any other leader operatives, instead of selecting 1 Guardsman Trooper operative for 1 Guardsman fire team, you can select 1 Guardsman Sergeant operative equipped with 1 option from each of the following: bolt pistol, las pistol, or plasma pistol, chain sword, or power weapon. So basically, with the Imperial Guard fire teams, you can take 2 of these Guardsman fire teams for a total of 14 models, 6 of which can have like your special weapons or your your Vox caster thingy, basically your Guardsman comms, and even out of the minimum 8 Guardsman troopers that you can have, 1 of these can be your sergeant trooper, basically. So that would of course be your leader. Generally speaking, the less imposing the operative, the more of them you get in a fire team. For example, in 1 fire team, the Death Guard can take up to 3 Plague Marines or 8 Pox Walkers. Now, with that, I mean, that's obviously going to give you a maximum of 11 models in a Death Guard kill team, and a minimum of 6 if you just go for the 2 Plague Marine fire teams. What's more, each fire team has its own rules on how many specialists you can bring along, which means the days of facing 12 or more plasma-toting Astra Militarum Guardsmen are mercifully long gone. First of all, it was usually up to 8 Astra Militarum Guardsmen with plasma guns, but let's not be pedantic here. But yeah. But what if you want even more customization options? What about special equipment? What about rare equipment you can requisition or even capture as your kill team campaign rolls on? Yes. What about these things, Games Workshop? What about these things? And then on to my favorite article out of these, which would be create kill teams for your faction of choice with the Kill Team Compendium. I will say I do like the book cover though. It kind of well, I mean, it is straight up the exact same one that they use for the Kill Team Manual, the only Kill Team Manual that Kill Team 1.0 got. And first up, we have the Pox Walker for the Death Guard. The actual stats here are pretty much what you would expect for a Pox Walker translated to this edition. The fact that they've got a save 6+ is good, and they've departed from that stupid 7+ BS. The 7+ was absolutely fine in 40k whenever you could actually get bonuses to armor save. But in Kill Team 1.0, because of how cover works and it had no impact on your save, it was kind of redundant even having them have a save of 7 plus, because there was literally no way to improve it to 6 or higher. So it's nice that they've actually given them a standard 6+ save rather than the nothing that it was before, basically. Speaking of saves, they've also got the everyone's favorite, Disgustingly Resilient, or as most people call it at this point, Feel No Pain. They've also got an ability called Mindless, and with that, each time this operative would perform a mission action or the pickup action, you must subtract 1 additional action point to do so. This operative cannot be equipped with equipment, and in narrative play it cannot gain or lose experience, and it automatically passes casualty tests. So I don't know if the implication here is that with equipment it's not limited to certain models, like because as of recording today, we saw the rules for the Haywire mine for the incursors. And when I was on the Glass Half Dead Discord, someone asked if that would be like a specific piece of equipment for the incursor, you know, or something that, you know, anyone can take. And of course, there was no real answer because no one has the answers. I'm kind of intrigued if equipment can be taken from models that normally wouldn't be able to take it. I mean, depending on the equipment in question. But I guess we'll see like how that actually goes in the game. And then their little fluff blurb about them. They don't have the stat line to match some of their more monstrous brethren, and their mindless trait means they find it harder to seize mission objectives, but a fire team does contain 8 of these shambling creatures. That makes them useful as a relatively disposable screen for your more powerful Death Guard operatives. In other words, just telling us exactly what we already know about Poxwalkers. Great. Compare that to the 4 dire Avengers that you can run in a Craftworld Eldari fire team. Though there are only 4, they have a solid ranged attack and excel when they're able to take a vantage point and lock down the battlefield with their defense tactics rule. As you can see, fire teams vary a lot between factions, and they have been carefully balanced to ensure that every mission is a tense tactical battle between matched kill teams. And here we have the stinking knife ear itself, the dire Avenger warrior. So their Avenger shuriken catapults look decent. They're apparently balanced according to their special rule. They got the rending trait. How that's going to work in this game, I do not know. Their fists, which they hit it with on a 3+, free attacks. So they got the standard stats for, like, say, the bayonet or what have you, except they hit on a 3+ as opposed to a 4+. So Eldari CQC confirmed. Yeah, so they got defense tactics. Each time this operative performs an Overwatch action, for the action's shooting attack, do not worsen the ballistic skill characteristic of its ranged weapons as a result of performing an Overwatch action. So that means absolutely nothing to me until I see what Overwatch actually does. At the other extreme, you've got elite warriors like the Adeptus Custodes. You may only get 2 custodian guards in a fire team, but each warrior is extremely potent and more than the match for most opponents. Now, the implication from what we've seen of photos and the fact that, you know, this faction is made up of the Custodes and the Sisters of Silence, they get into 2 fire teams, one of which can be your Custodes 2 of. And what we're seeing in a picture in one of the articles is 5 of the Sisters of Silence. So we're looking at maybe a 7 model kill team for your Talons of the Emperor, or possibly 4 if you just go all Custodes, or even 10 if you go all Sisters of Silence, which no one's going to do. So yeah, that's interesting. Now, as for the rules, we've got Guardian Spear, Sentinel Blade, Guardian Spear melee, and Sentinel Blade melee, because these awesome weapons that the Custodes have, which you can use in ranged or melee. Yeah, so they don't look too bad. The critical hit rule P1, do not know what that means, but that's another thing, is we're lacking a lot of information in regards to critical attack rules, and there's some more in other data sheets which I'll be going into in either this or another podcast. But I mean, some of them sound really nice, like brutal and reap. Yeah, reap. But yeah, as for the Custodes here, I do like their Storm Shield. It's a pretty interesting rule. If this operative is equipped with a Storm Shield, it has a 4+ invulnerable save, which of course is standard, as we know from 2.0's version, 1.0's version of Storm Shields after Prior Nexus. Each time it fights in combat, in the resolve successful hit step of that combat, each time it parries, 2 of your opponent's successful hits are discarded instead of 1. And speaking of invulnerable saves, it actually brings another thing I did want to bring up. At the moment, most people are speculating as to how AP, by which I mean armor penetration this time, is actually going to work in Octarius. Now, before, whenever you had armor penetration, that basically reduces the result of your armor saves. However, the defense of 3, which is pretty much the standard across the entire range of data cards that we've seen so far, and the fact that AP so far we've only seen at AP2, I believe that it's, rather than it going to be negating your results, it's going to be negating how many dice you can actually roll for defense, which is of course why it caps out at 2. So like if you got a armor penetration of 1, you're going to be rolling 2 dice for your defense. If it's got an armor penetration of 2, you're going to be rolling 1 dice for your defense. I imagine there will probably be some rules which mean that you don't get to roll dice at all. Well, I mean, we've already seen mortal wounds as one of the critical hit rules, which of course doesn't allow any sort of saves. So yeah, I actually kind of like how that works. Means that, well, I mean, it doesn't really mean a whole lot of anything to me at the moment until I actually put it into practice. But so far, I will say that I do enjoy that mechanic. So anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode of the Smooth Operative podcast. I will be going into some of the other data sheet or data cards that we've managed to see in the next episode. Some of those data cards were actually leaked on Twitter and then like almost immediately removed by Warhammer community themselves, which was rather interesting. And as you can expect, they were immediately just shared across the internet, you know, deleted or not. So yeah, I'll be going into those, as well as some of the other ones that they've been teasing across Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. And then, yeah, we can actually get some insight into what some of the other factions will be bringing to the table. In the meantime, this has been Jubilant Rich, and I hope to speak to you guys again soon.